We're back with Off Script. It's been missed by millions. So, to kick off, as you can see, I'm alongside Jamie Carragher, ahead of Manchester United against Liverpool. But we're not talking about that game. We are talking about one of the most important parts of the modern game, transfers. Now, Jamie, you played under 6 different managers at Liverpool. You saw plenty of comings and goings. Who do you think got it right and who got it wrong? Nice, easy one for you.
In terms of the signings?
Yes.
I mean, to be honest, in that time, it's well documented that I and the club didn't win a league title. So I think there was a lot of managers will look back at signings that didn't quite get Liverpool over the line at the time that I played. And I think what happened, certainly I would talk about Gerard Houllier and Rafa Benitez, in that we got so close to the title. And then you'd think, we're one sign away, we're 2 signings away. And those signings never quite worked. And I always think of the effect of what Van Dijk has had at Liverpool, Mo Salah, Alisson, the goalkeeper, where Jurgen Klopp had got the team so close, Champions League final, really close with City. But he needed those signings to get him over the line, and those signings worked. Whereas with Gerard Houllier in 2002, he brought players on the back of the World Cup. We'd finished second in the league, and we brought 3 players that summer, and they were all failures. It just didn't work, and the team went backwards. And the same with Rafa Benitez in 2009. We came here and won 4-1 towards the end of the season, really pushed United close. And then that summer we lost Alonso, brought Aquilani in, and we brought Glenn Johnson in. And it's not just pointing the fingers at the players who come in, because the players who are already there still, need to play. But you just think if they'd have been superstars or if they'd really worked, would that have made a huge difference? And that's where I think we fell down.
Now, as I said, we're here at Old Trafford, and we're told that the Manchester United WhatsApp players group, normal conversations amongst players, but when Ronaldo was about to sign, it went mad. That's all they were talking about. Was there a player in your time at Liverpool, the club were about to sign, where you, the existing players, got genuinely excited?
We didn't normally sign someone like a Ronaldo.
To be fair, not many do.
No, but I mean like a real big star who's coming to your club, and you know that beforehand. We'd sign players, and I think Jurgen Klopp does the same now, where you're trying to make them stars. I think that's what everyone wants to try and do: buy someone cheap, make them a superstar, and maybe sell them for a lot of money or get the peak years at their club. I mean, the first one that comes to mind is possibly Nicolas Anelka. In that, when in 2002 we brought Nicolas Anelka in, we didn't end up signing. We had him on loan actually for 6 months, but he was a huge name. I think we got him from Paris Saint-Germain, but he'd been at Real Madrid. He'd won the double at Arsenal, the Champions League as well at Real Madrid, I should add. And that was like, oh wow, Nicolas Anelka type of signing. So we hadn't really made too many like that. You can talk of great players we had. You might say Xabi Alonso, but I don't think he was seen as a great player when we actually signed him. He became a great player and then obviously moved on. So if there's someone that I've missed, but that's the first one that comes to mind as a sort of a recognised superstar, when he comes to the club.
What's it like that first day in training when the new signing, particularly a big star signing, goes in? How much is there anticipation? You look at him, looking for first touch, looking what he does. What's that like?
Yeah, it is. Listen, just because we're footballers, we're still like fans. So, every supporter, like, with United, what's Ronaldo like? They can see him in the games, but everyone wants to know every detail, what they're like in training, how they go about and conduct themselves. So we're exactly the same. So, and there's a flip side to that as well. When you first week of training, you think, oh no, this is not right. Something's not right about this. He doesn't, the way he passes the ball, the way he moves. Sometimes you just get a feeling for a player.
Have you
but
ever
sometimes
thought that?
You go the other way.
Sorry to interrupt you. Have you ever thought that? Seen a player in the first few days, you're thinking, is it me? He's not right for here. And were you proven right? And will you name them? This could end some friendship.
I'll tell you one who I got completely wrong. Was Momo Sissoko did a really good job for Liverpool for 2 years in midfield. He looked horrendous in his first week at training, like where you're thinking, oh my God, what have we done here? I mean, like really poor. But what I always say about that is, I never moved club, so I don't really know what it's like, and it must be tough going to a new club, dressing room, everything's completely different. That few nerves early on. You're at a big club as well, Liverpool, where there's big names there watching your every move in training. I'd certainly class myself as one of those, and that was only because, as I said, I was like a fan. I was desperate for new signings to be good because it excites me and think that can take us to another level. We can be a better team. As soon as Xabi Alonso came in and Luis Suarez, they're the two that stand out for me, where it was like, oh, we've got a player. You sort of knew straight away in training, thinking, oh. I mean, with Luis Suarez, I was thinking, how have we got him? How have we signed him? How is he not at Barcelona or Real Madrid now? So, I wouldn't say you're wrong too much, to be honest. I think you can see a lot early on, even in the first 2 weeks. It mightn't be something extraordinary, but just the way someone passes the ball, the pace they put on it, the way they move, their attitude in training, if they've got a personality, if they're asking for the ball. Just these little things are like little giveaways, I would say.
There's always that thing, isn't there, where to break the ice when the new signing, maybe slight miscontrol or a shot bit wide, there's always a shout from the back, how much? Always breaks the ice or breaks the player.
Yeah. No, well, there is that, and that's trying to sort of integrate the player in as well.
Yeah.
Really, so it's not just about sort of, taking the mick out, and you sort of want to try and make these players feel as comfortable as possible, and the quicker they're sort of involved in the dressing room, the laughing and joking, the better it is for them as a player.
Lastly, I wanted to ask you about the current crop and the decisions that Jurgen Klopp has to make this week. When he sat down with Patrick Davison, Mo Salah said, I would like to finish my playing career here at Liverpool. Not just Mo Salah, but not too far away is the end of the contracts for Mane and also for Roberto Firmino. What sort of decisions have Fenway got to make now?
Big decisions, because...
Tough decisions?
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool's team that started the game in Madrid, I think, was the oldest Liverpool team that's ever started the game for sort of 30, 40 years.
Atletico this week.
Yeah. So it shows these players now are all getting to 30, and you don't want the whole team to need changing at the same time. So at some stage, the front three and other areas of the team will need breaking up and new players coming in. We've seen that with Carragher coming in, Jota joining as well now. Thiago's around that age anyway. But you'd expect Liverpool would be looking to maybe bring a midfield player in the summer. Curtis Jones is coming through, that lowers the age. So you can't allow, certainly if we're talking about the front three, to grow old together. And I think, in the summer, that's still the area that, not necessarily to break it up, because it started the season fantastically well, but you've got to be looking to the future. Jota's come in and made a big impact, but I'd like to see one more.
Ridiculous as it sounds, because you haven't been retired that long, but has it changed? Is age just a number? You look at the fella here, 36. Now, I know Ronaldo, in the nicest possible way, he's a freak, let's be honest. He's an absolute physical freak. You've only got to look at Mo Salah's, or the way he looks after himself. Should we change our thinking? And perhaps these guys are still in their pomp into their early 30s.
No, I agree. I think the longevity of players now should be looked at differently because of the way they look after themselves. I just think attacking players are probably slightly different than other positions in that they always rely on sharpness, and I think if you look at stats, and certain players will be different, but I think in the main, attacking players' peak is still in the 20s, whereas maybe a centre-back could be going into his early 30s, Van Dijk's 30 now, maybe certain midfield players as well. But I think attacking players who rely on pace, rely on sharpness, the best days, for me, will always be in the 20s. There will be the odd outlier, and Ronaldo's certainly one of them.
Were you at your peak in your late 20s?
Yes. Yeah.
Underlines your point. Smashing stuff, Jamie. As always, thank you for joining us, and thank you for joining this edition of Off Script. Make sure you look out for us. There'll be plenty more as the season goes on.